Hi, my name is ZAKIAH binti ZOLKEFLI. My metric number is A180240. I like this subject because I have learned a lot histories of Malaysian economy, such as Malaysia's agriculture, industrialization, the transformation of the Malaysian economy, Malaysia's fiscal and monetary, economic development policies in Malaysia, and also Dr. had taught us to present perfectly as a student.
Hi, I'm Steffannie. During this short semester, I have a chance to taking the Malaysia economy, and what I have learned from this course is the Malaysia economic history, the change and progress in Malaysia economy, and also the policy that focusing on trade, investment, manufacturing, and service. And I love the Malaysia economic the most because I found that topic very interesting. And that's all from me. Thank you.
My name is Mohd SAUPI. I love this course because it gives me a new knowledge about the history of economy in Malaysia, and as well as the policy and also the changes in the sector of economy in Malaysia.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Nur binti SHARI, metric number A180170. So why I enjoyed this course is because I like the way Dr. Shukri explained to us regarding the economic history of Malaysia, and he also exposed us on how to get the right data from the most trusted source like the Department of Statistics Malaysia, DOSTM. Thank you, Doctor.
My name is Muhammad Amir Afif, and what I have learned in this class is I can add a new knowledge related to the process of economic development in Malaysia in more detail. And I can also learn many things using the data and statistics related to the economy in this country by searching the data in the website like DOSTM and many other websites provided by the government. So it's an honor for me to attend your class, Doctor. Thank you.
Hi, my name is NURUL DAYANA binti KHAIRIL AZRUL. I like this course because I learned a lot of history of Malaysian economy, how Malaysian economy had been developed during the era. So that give me a lot of new input in my journey of learning. Thank you.
My name is NURUL binti ZAILAN. I like this course because I have learned a lot about the Malaysian economy. This course gave me a better understanding on the history of Malaysia's economic development and development before independence. What I like the most from this course is actually when Doctor taught us on how to find and read data from various websites like DOSTM and others. It is very useful skills for me to learn for my degree journey. I would like to express my thankfulness to Doctor for your wonderful lessons in the class. I also want to thank you so much for your kindness and your great assistance to us. Thank you, Doctor.
Hi, my name is Jannnah binti Mamani. My metric number is A180229. So what I like about this course is I get more knowledge about the historical of Malaysian economics, and other than that, I also learn more about the global economy that affecting Malaysia. That's all. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is AINNUR binti NAZRI, metric number A180286. I love this class because it helps me to understand more about the structure of Malaysian economy, especially after the transition from the pre-independence until now. This class also taught me to understand all the data from graph and how to use them.
The COVID-19 pandemic, also known as a coronavirus pandemic, is an ongoing global pandemic of coronavirus disease 2019. The novel virus was first identified in Wuhan, China in December 2019. So when and how COVID-19 was detected in Malaysia? The Health Ministry confirmed 3 Chinese nationals entering Malaysia via Johor were confirmed positive coronavirus. Health Minister Datuk Seri Dr. ZOLKEFLI said all the victims were 66 years old women and 2 grandchildren aged 11 and 2. All of them are immediate family members of the first case that occurred in Singapore. An yearly screening found they had no fever and did not have any symptoms of infections. And all of 3 Chinese were treated at Sungai Buloh Hospital as well. So what was the immediate measure by the government? So on January 26, the Ministry of Health added a body temperature scanning device at the entrance of the country to ensure passengers were in good condition. On January 27, the MOH identified 26 hospitals nationwide as a precautionary measure to handle suspected cases of COVID-19 infection that require further inspection and treatment. Moreover, the government has also taken steps to temporarily suspend all immigration facilities to Chinese citizens from Wuhan City, Hubei province, as well as the surrounding areas.
So now this is what happened on the beginning situation of the COVID-19. So firstly, on 31st 2019, the pneumonia of unknown cause detected in Wuhan, China, and on January 7, 2020, SARS-CoV-2 identified from the swab of the patient, and on January 30, 2020, WHO Public Health Emergency of International Concern PHEIC declared the outbreak, and on January 25, 2020, first case in Malaysia has been reported, and on February 11, 2020, the COVID-19 has been named, and next on March 17, 2020, the first date in Malaysia has been reported, and lastly on March 18, 2020, the first MCO started in our country. This graph shows the COVID-19 numbers in Malaysia, and we can see from this graph there are the up and down in the COVID-19 confirmed case. However, the number of confirmed cases keep increasing. As of 9 September 2021, the highest record has been reported on 26 August 2021, which is 24,599 cases has been recorded on that day. I think the case keep increase is because of the lack of people discipline. Even though the outline of the SOP has been introduced, there are still many cases has been reported. So to overcome this pandemic, people have to follow the SOP and adapt to the new norm.
The measure taken by government during COVID-19. The first one is Movement Control Order MCO, which is related to the restrictions of movement of people into or out of an area. The Director General of the Ministry of Health emphasized that the order enforced came under the Prevention and Control of Infectious Diseases Act 1988 and the Police Act 1967 and would help to control the spread of the virus. The other measure is the setting up of a special fund known as the COVID-19 Fund. It is to raise money to be channeled to patients, particularly those affected financially due to the quarantine procedure. This fund initially received RM1 million from the government and private sectors. NGOs and individuals were welcome and encouraged to direct their contributions too. Now I will describe the SOP during the first MCO. The first one is general prohibition of mass movements and gatherings across the country, including religious, sports, social and cultural activities. To enforce these prohibitions, all houses of worship and business premises would be closed except for supermarkets that selling everyday necessities. The second one is sanctions covering all Malaysians travelling abroad. For those who have just returned from overseas, they would be required to undergo a health check and a 14-day quarantine. The third one is restrictions on the entry of all tourists and foreign visitors into the country. The fourth one is closure of all kindergartens, government and private school, and pre-university institutions. The fifth one is closure of all public and private higher education institutions and skills training institutes nationwide. The last one is closure of all government and private premises except those involved in essential services such as water, electricity, energy, telecommunication, and so on.
The COVID-19 pandemic has seriously impacted the Malaysian economy. For example, firstly, it can be seen via this high unemployment rate. The unemployment rate is estimated to be at 4% or 629,000 individuals in 2020, up from 3.3% in 2019. In January 2020, the unemployment rate is 3.2%, but there is a continuous increase in the unemployment rate until May 2020 and it reaches 5.3%. This is shown in the figure and it's not a good phenomenon because there is a negative trend in the labour demand. On the other hand, the relative level of economic health can be determined by the foreign exchange rate. This is because the foreign exchange rate plays a fundamental role in a country's level of trade. Malaysia's exchange rate for March 2019 is RM4.08 in exchange for $1 and it has depreciated to RM4.26 in exchange for $1 in July 2020. Weaker exchange rate will lead to cost push inflation as the cost of imported raw materials are rising. This will impact almost all the sectors, especially the manufacturing sectors in Malaysia, as most of the machineries are imported from China and Japan. The COVID-19 also has impacted most of the industries in Malaysia, for example, automotive industry, tourism, chemical, medical devices, electrical and electronics, and many more. For automotive industry, as you can see from the figure, here I'm gonna add some potential long-term impact on automotive companies. They may be forced to divert capital to shore up continuing operations, starving R&D funding for advanced technology initiatives and other discretionary projects. For tourism industry, if the number of tourists continuously decrease, some of the tourism industry will be forced to shut down due to unbearable losses and unable to pay workers' salaries. At the same time, other non-essential sectors were also forced to cease their operations during the MCO. And for the aerospace industry, it's affected the companies as they may lose market share if they fail to deliver or if they are unable to invest in new products during the downturn. The risk of critical program failure is likely to rise.
These are some additional informations for you about the impact on other industries such as electrical and electronic, metal, machinery, equipment and parts, and also medical devices.
Government using fiscal and monetary policy to stabilize the national economy. The government is working with banks in restabilizing the country economy. Government helping people affected by PKP by giving moratoriums and debt repayment for several months so that people can use the money for the important things and necessary. Tax relief also had been given by government that can lighten the burden of borrowers, investors and also traders. A lot of economic stimulus package had been given that can increase people purchase, indirectly drive economy cycle and revive the economy during COVID-19. Government also helped business affected by PKP by giving wage subsidy, micro SME grant, micro loans, rental subsidy, reduced levy on foreign worker that can help a lot of small business and company to survive during the pandemic.
Government of Malaysia has introduced an economic stimulus package worth over 513 billion ringgit have been implemented since the COVID-19 pandemic hit the country, proving that the government listen and act so that the people and the economy continue to survive in this challenging period. The package includes Prihatin, Prihatin PKS Plus, Penjana, Kita Prihatin, Permai, Pemerkasa, Pemerkasa Plus and Pemulih. Package were implemented to protect life through three main focus, namely strengthening the public health system and national vaccination program, protecting the people and ensuring business continuity. In this package, there is a number of assistance that the government has implemented. The first one, government has announced the largest cash assistance in the country history through Bantuan Prihatin Nasional, BPN, amounting to 18 billion ringgit, which had benefit 11 million recipients. The second one, program subsidi upah to protect employment to help employers retain their worker. The government has also introduced the SHARI and AINNUR initiative by the Employees Provident Fund, EPF, which allow members to withdraw money from retirement funds. Banking institution also offer a moratorium on repayment of a bank loan for 6 months worth 100 billion to companies, SMEs and individuals to elevate cash flow. Next, grant khas Prihatin to ensure business continuity, especially for SMEs in managing their cash flow. And the last one, the government had provided an allocation of more than 200 million for the food basket. All of this is implemented to ensure that the country health and economic sector can recover in this challenging period.
The first sector that affected during the pandemic is retail sector. In 2020, retail sales growth rate declined by negative 16.3%, which is the worst since the Asian financial crisis in 1998. Reduced shopping traffic has caused 30% of malls to close since March 2020. Another sector that has been paralyzed by lockdowns is the creative industry. Malaysia's box office collections reduced by 85% from 905 million ringgit in 2019 to 138 million ringgit in 2020. There is also a permanent closures of over 25% of theatres. Then weak demand due to restrictions has also left the tourism and travel industry severely impacted. Flight frequency dropped to 20% of full capacity from 2019. Aviation has lost 30 billion ringgit in 2020, while hotels have lost 11.3 billion ringgit since 2020. Zooming in on aquaculture and fisheries, low consumer demand due to dine-in restrictions and seafood restaurant closure have caused seafood price to drop and stockpile ups. The price of fish sold from fishermen to village middlemen has decreased by 50 to 70% than before the MCO. MIDA also reported a 33.3% job loss in fisheries. In stark contrast, the e-commerce industry was among the few sectors that were able to capitalize on the pandemic. According to global data analysis, fear of virus infection through cash handling and social interaction at physical stores propelled Malaysia's e-commerce growth, which is 24.7% growth in 2020. The industry grew so rapidly that it is now the source of new employment as freelance drivers or riders for those who lost their jobs. So I think that's all from me. I will pass to the next presenter. Thank you.
The technology role in our daily life are observable. We can see a lot of changes in technology during pandemic. Many people start to change from physical to online doing because of their awareness during pandemic. I give you some example. First, in education field. Before the pandemic, we are doing physical learning, but now we are using online platform for e-learning such as MS Team, WebEx, and Google Meet that can be used by students to study at home and also by lecturers to work from home. Besides that, in business, many business, especially small business, are affected. So they are changed from selling at the restaurant or night market to online business by using media social or Foodpanda, GrabFood, e-commerce to promote their business so they can increase their income during the pandemic. And My Sejahtera mobile app also has been launched for citizens to carry out health self-assessment. This includes a tracing exercise. The application also helps citizens identify nearby hospitals and clinics for COVID-19 testing and treatment, as well as give and guide them on what to do if they contract with the virus. So we can see that changes in technology during pandemic are in a positive way. So we as a citizen, we as a people have to use it wisely and using it to make sure that we are being aware during this pandemic.
The National Recovery Plan is a 4-phase exit strategy from the COVID-19 crisis. This strategy is based on 3 indicators. The first one is the number of daily COVID-19 infections, the utilization rate in the intensive care unit ICU wards, and the percentage of the vaccinated population. The government would consider transition to the second phase of the exit plan only after considering data from the 3 factors. The transition from phase 1 to second phase are based on the average number of daily COVID-19 cases that drop below the 4,000 marks, and the state of the public health system that is no longer at a critical level, including the improvement of the usage at ICU beds at health facilities across the country to a moderate level, as well as having 10% of the population fully vaccinated. Meanwhile, if you want to move into phase 4, the average number of daily cases must be below than 500 cases and the bed usage at ICU wards is in sufficient level. Lastly, we need to have at least 60% of the population fully vaccinated. I think that's all from me. I'll pass this presentation to the next presenter. Thank you.
How long will COVID-19 be with us? The COVID-19 start to enter the country in August 2019 and until now 2021. And the active case were recorded in Malaysia, which is almost 200,000 cases until today. And according to the Hans Kluge, the WHO director, he believed that COVID-19 will expire in 2022. And he said that virus itself will not go to extinct, but continue to exist and mutate. And it will put the pressure on the country to monitor the health issue. But even so, he said there was also there was no need to implement the restriction due to the large amount of data obtained to control the virus. He also said WHO also monitored the effectiveness of the vaccine in fighting the virus. In my opinion, the epidemic will soon be overcome with the availability of the vaccine. And in Malaysia alone, the data that we can see today, which is 26 September 2021, where 60.1% of the people have been equipped with the 2 doses of the vaccine, and 69.9% have received 1 dose of vaccine. So the conclusion is the virus itself will not go away, but the pandemic can be overcome. Will Malaysia be successful against COVID-19? In my opinion, Malaysia will be successful against COVID-19 based on what we have achieved before, where 0 COVID-19 cases are recorded in Malaysia. It's not impossible that we can achieve it again. So, what do we need to achieve? Malaysia need to practice the quarantine as before, although it's very stressful, especially from an individual economic point of view. But believe me, this way can have an impact on today's COVID cases. The government need to adopt assistance to individual in needs. As before, for example, the bantuan prihatin and providing subsidies to the small traders who are unable to operate. The e-commerce platform also need to be run widely, which will facilitate not only sellers but also buyers, and will indirectly reduce the physical contact. The social distancing should also be practiced, and personal hygiene also need to be practiced so that the virus does not spread widely. What will happen after COVID-19? I divide into 2 categories, which is economy and social. After COVID-19, the economic sector will become to improve, where the interested sectors start to operate, and traders can also return to their normal operation. Perhaps we will also accept the technological changes in terms of economic sector, such as the use of online payment and purchase, which will reduce the physical contact. Sectors that were previously suspended can resume the operation, such as tourism, hospitality, international trade, and more. The stock market also will begin to improve as foreign investors will begin to enter the market, and the economy will begin to recover. From the social point of view, the community can start to move after the previous MCO restriction, and this movement still need to be done by the controlling the social inculcation or the social distancing. From the point of view of education and employment, will be more flexible with the evolvement of the new technologies that are able to change the old system, for example, the use of virtual reality.
That's all from us. Thank you.